So again, to more formally reintroduce myself, my name is Andrew, and I currently sit in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I serve as the National Onboarding Counselor for Tulsa, Dallas, San Antonio, and Little Rock. Tiffany, one of my colleagues, if you would like to introduce yourself as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Andrew. And apologies to everyone for being off camera today. I've been battling some illness this week, so I look a little bit like a zombie today. So I'm gonna stay off camera for today. But yeah, so I am the onboarding counselor for New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Columbia, South Carolina, and New York City. And I am based in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I will kick it over to Rachel to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I am serving in Columbia, South Carolina, and this is my first year doing AmeriCorps, so
Thank you, Rachel. Esther, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm gonna do my stand and declare. Good morning, everyone. My name is Esther Clementine, and I'm a proud first-year AmeriCorps member serving on the Lamar Advertising Company team at Kenilworth Insights Technology. Yes, and there I work with Miss Fish in her third grade math class.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Esther. And thank you for modeling some of like City Year's actual in-service culture. I really appreciate it. How about Kaylana? Would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Kaylana. This is my second year with City Year. I serve as team lead at Davis Middle School, and I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you, Kaylana. And Kaylana is joining us from City Year San Antonio. And how about you, Alexandria? Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandria. This is my second year with City Year. I am a team leader in New York City. And I serve at PS 83 in Harlem, New York.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really love learning about what service looks like in New York City because their map of service is so distinct and the scale of the city influences the way that we have to plan as an organization. So really grateful to have you on the call too. And last but certainly not least, please introduce yourself, Lachey. So sorry, Lachey. Can you double check? I'm not getting any audio from your mic. Is it possible, Tiffany, for Lachey to leave and rejoin?
Yeah, that should totally be fine. Using the
Okay,
same link, I think it would work.
okay. We will hold tight very briefly. So for those who are really happy to have in the audience, we're just very grateful that we have got a good mixture of folks from across the country, two first-year core members, three returning members who lead teams in Baton Rouge, Columbia, South Carolina, New York City, Dallas, and San Antonio. If you have questions and you're joining us as an incoming member for another city, please share those. We're very excited to bring them to the panel we have here. And we, Tiffany and I, work with a group of other onboarding counselors who support incoming members across the country. So if there's a question that's more specific than would be helpful for the panel to answer, we will absolutely elevate that or bring that back to our teammates.
Hi, everyone. I am back. My name is Lachey Love. I am proudly serving my second year as a team lead at J. Irvin Elementary and City Year Dallas.
All right. Thank you so much. And thanks for working through the technical difficulties. This is a great time for me to remember we can do wait time. It's something we have to practice as core members. If you want to go ahead and pass this on to the next slide, Tiffany. So just to set the table a little bit more than might have already been done on the event page or in communications from your onboarding counselor, this is a Q&A panel. Our members assembled here are going to answer some general questions off the top, and then we would love for you to actively submit questions via the Q&A feature. If you're having any technical issues, please feel free to I'd say like you can email them to me and I'll do my best to elevate them. And my email can be shared in some format, perhaps. This is where I wish I'd been a little bit more creative on the pre-planning end of things. So my email is asteinke at cityyear.org. My first initial and my last name at cityyear.org. So if there's any issues, I'll do my best to keep monitoring that during the second half of the call and pass those to Tiffany and our team. If you have the function to turn your camera on, we would love to see you. We'd love to know who you are. If you're not having that function or if you're in a busy place, whatever the reason, there's no pressure, but we're certainly happy to get to know you as best we can, even though this is a public or group format. And one more recap that we've kind of brought up a little bit earlier is that every site is, at its essence, very different. All the cities that we serve are different. All of the students that we work with at the individual to the school level are different people. So keep in mind that some things that are true for City or Baton Rouge may look very differently for City or San Antonio. The things that our members do amount to the same sort of supports and roles that they'll play in students' lives. The work that we do is similarly impactful across the country, but things will have some different feelings on the ground. And we'll go ahead and push to the next slide. So kind of an icebreaker question for the panel, just to get things flowing. And we will do this in reverse order. So it'll be Lachey, Alexandria, Kilana, Esther, Rachel. But what snack have you been reaching for lately? What's your favorite snack? Or what snack do your students ask you for if one doesn't come to mind for you? We'll start with Lachey.
A snack that students ask for often in elementary school is Takis. 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, they want Takis.
How about for you, Alexandria?
Um, I'll go with like my favorite snack. Currently, I love me some seaweed. Like it could be any flavor. I really enjoy eating seaweed. Whenever I'm like doing like data collection, I'm like just, eating up some seaweed. During lunchtime, even the kids love it too. And the kids, my kids, they always like, love to share. So they're like, Miss Alex, do you want seaweed? And I'm just like, it's okay, but like seaweed definitely for sure.
All right, all right. Kaylana?
My favorite snack are Little Bites. They're like the blueberry mini muffins. I'm obsessed with them right now. Can't not get enough of them.
Okay, very fair, very fair. Esther?
Well, my favorite snack is vanilla ice cream from Bluebell. I really love that. The French one.
Okay, noted. I'm not a vanilla connoisseur, so I'll have to check it out. How about you, Rachel?
Mine is probably the honey barbecue Frito twist. I can eat a whole bag of those by myself.
Okay, very much on the same wavelength. That's like a go-to for when I'm doing road trips, but I'll have to keep it in mind for the home too. Now, on to kind of the bigger stuff, what we've all brought you here today. We want to talk a little bit about service first. So these questions are kind of a pair because we are never all good or all bad. Things can be both challenging and rewarding. And so I'd love to know from your perspectives, this far into your first year or this far into your service experience for those of you who have returned to do a second year, what has been most challenging, either for yourself or maybe for teammates, if there are things that have come up that you might not have expected when you were looking at the program? And what's been the most rewarding? What are things that surprised you or have helped you move towards personal or professional goals during the course of your service? And I'm going to let the questions sit, and then whoever would like to speak first may, and we can kind of go from there.
So I'll go first. The most challenging part of service for me this year has definitely been like time management. Just thinking ahead and like handling group events. So we do a lot of events at Davis and just managing, making sure everyone's where they need to be. That has definitely been my struggle this year. But the most rewarding part of it is also doing these events. Like seeing the results, seeing how happy our kids are when things come through, definitely makes all of it worth it.
I'll add then, the most challenging part of service has been, even though this is my second year and I know what to expect on the hours, it's still completing those 10-hour days and sometimes like longer if there's events or after school events that's going on. And then something that is rewarding is seeing the students every day. Like, even though we have to come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, when we go out to Power Greet at 7:30, seeing the kids come and a lot of the kids want to join and they're happy to see us there, that's like really rewarding. So it's hard to get up, but they make it worth it in the morning.
I can definitely add on to what Lachey says, like in terms of like the hours that we have to complete. Again, I previously was a student success coach my first year. So I was fully aware of like how I knew my emotions would be in terms of like, having to get up every morning. Um, so even though I do currently work in Harlem, um, I am originally from Queens, New York. So just to give like a little geography background, like I am like more so like towards the edge of Queens going into Long Island. So I'm like right by JFK Airport. And so traveling all the way up Manhattan, the commute is like about like an hour and a half. So I have to wake up, at like 5 in the morning. Um, there are some good days and then there are some bad days where like I'm like really really motivated. So like in the beginning of the weekend, like on Monday, like surprisingly I'm like very chill, like like yay, like work. But then once it get to like Wednesday, I'm like, okay, can we like wrap this up? Because it's a great challenge. But I would definitely say that as long as I've been doing it for over a year now, I still can't get used to waking up very early. But the rewarding part about, the fact that like I'm, doing these hours, I just say like I'm alive. I'm able to come in showing up as my best self, not just for myself, but like for my team, for the students. This week we have Spirit Week going on, so we're calling it um Friendship and Kindness Week, and we actually got to do like a dance where everyone from 3K to fifth grade got to participate. We had like a lot of activities, so, like coloring. I got to do face painting, and I am not someone who, had prior experience to face painting. So, being able to like see the joy on their faces as I was like, face painting like characters. Some characters I was not familiar with, but I was able to like, get the job done. So the outcome was like really good.
For me, from my experience, I think I struggle with finding, well, a challenge that I have is finding rest. Um, I once I start to work, I just keep on working and keep on working. And like I'll give an example. Over the past weekend, we just had an international fest with celebrates the diversities of like all the cultures at our school. So many parents and students and staff brought different cultures and that brought their cultures, a little bit of their culture to our school, and we held that event. And it was just waking up early in the morning, getting there, setting up, and then after that, I had a balance because I had my friend's party to go to. Like also have like my own life too. So I was like, okay, after that, you have to basically manage your time in a way that you could find, okay, when I could sit down and just process everything that I've been through the day. that's one thing I will say I have a challenge on.
I think for me, it's not really like the service, but I am from Tennessee, so I had to move 4 hours away to to be here. So I'm 4 hours away from family. That was kind of hard for me. I'm not a person that likes to get out there and be by myself. But I think one of the most rewarding things is just being able to work with the kids and seeing them like succeed in what they want to do and stuff.
Thank you all so much for like getting into that, and I appreciate kind of the different things that stand out, both in the highs and the lows. To the points made about traveling long distances and especially time management around commute, these are things that Tiffany and I and our colleagues really want to make sure we're helping folks understand as they're looking ahead at their service. So if you haven't already met with your national onboarding counselor and you're on the panel, or you're on the panel, I'm sorry, you're in the audience, please like make time with them in the coming weeks to discuss what that experience will look like or what questions or concerns come to mind for you. Those are definitely things that we want to make sure we're helping you address. Moving into kind of another vein of questioning, are there any tips based on your experiences thus far that you might have for incoming members to prepare for service? Not just meeting with me and my teammates, but what else would have helped you pre-day one to be ready for things like basic training, the start of the school year, and the service experience to date? And I'll start with Rachel, if that is all right with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Um, I would say just be flexible um, with everybody you work with. Something happens every day, and you just have to be flexible and move with it. And then definitely build that relationship with your partner teacher that you get. It's really helpful. Me and my partner teacher, we have a really good relationship, so we can just tell each other and text each other what we want, what we need, and I'll text her and be like, "Hey, can I have that lesson plan so that I know what you're doing and I can help in your small group?" Because we do small groups in my class and we do intervention, so I help with her small groups. And so I'll be like, "Can I have the lesson plan just so I know what you're doing for small group and I can help?" And it's really good to have that relationship with your partner teacher.
Ilana, is there something that comes to mind for you?
Oh yeah. One of the big ones is taking care of yourself as fiercely as you take care of your students. This job does require a lot, and as wonderful it is, as rewarding as it is, we are still people who matter. So just making sure you make time for yourself, make sure you like do some self-care if you need it at the end of the day, put your feet up, rest. Those are so important.
What are your thoughts, Esther? What stands out to you?
Yeah, I will most definitely say just to piggyback off Kaylana, like yes, prepare like trying to manage your time correctly because you will like by the end of the year you will have a bad burnout. And unfortunately at my site we had a lot of bad burnout. I'm still chugging and pushing. Is you're just remember you're for the cause and you're just going for towards the goal and your reward.
I appreciate you speaking to that, and also Rachel and Kaylana as well. Lachey, what about you?
I'm gonna piggyback off of what they said and also add a little something else. It's like pour into your cup. One thing that I learned and one thing that City or Dallas, what they like to instill in us is like you cannot pour from an empty cup. So as long as you're like feeding into yourself and pouring into your own cup, you can give it to the students. Because if you show up and you're not your 100% self, your students, they will recognize that. Last year I had a lot of times, not a lot of times, but I had, 25% of my service. Sometimes I would show up not 100%, and they will, they feed off that energy. So pour into yourself so you can pour into others. And I had something else, but that was the most important one.
Absolutely. And Alexandria.
Just to piggyback off of what Kaylana said about, practicing self-care, that's like my number one thing, especially my second year as a team leader. Understanding how much time City Year takes up out of our day. Don't even think about work after when Friday comes, don't even think about work. Like, practice self-care. And also throughout the week, definitely like schedule like a nice bedtime routine. Try to get into hobbies over the weekend. Because again, as Lachey is saying about like, like pouring into yourself, pouring into your own cup, when we do things that make us happy outside of school, it'll project on the kids as well. And it'll be motivating and very influencing to the kids. Like, like look at Miss Alex, like, she is glowing and she just has all this energy. That's because I take time out of my day to like, practice that self-care that, is fulfilling to me in order to have, this energy and show up as my best self coming into the school. So definitely self-care. That's like my number one thing.
Sorry, because it came to my mind. So if I can say what I was gonna say, I was gonna say to know exactly like what you are signing up for. Every single day, it's not gonna be a day inside of the classroom. That's something that was like challenging for me coming in as a first year. Is like there's gonna be days or a couple days that you're gonna be at the office and you're gonna be learning and you're gonna be building community and wholeheartedly just embrace that, because sometimes like the friends that you meet during your year of service, those are going to be friends that you can have for years on down the line. The people that you meet in service, the networks, the connections, keep those, because those have even helped me even in my second year of service. So just be open to all of the people that you're going to meet, because one day those people are going to matter to the end goal.
And may I also just add, because Lachey, she's definitely right about that too. This is not just about helping students get to where they go, like academically, socially. This is about what you want for like in like your career path too as well. So yes, focus on the students, but focus on like what you see yourself doing long term too as well. Because that City Year strives on that too.
Thank you for those like boomerangs. I really appreciate what you all shared. And I want, before we pivot hard to the Q&A section, Tiffany, are there questions that have been submitted so far?
Let me check real quick, but I don't think we have anything quite yet. Let me see. Nothing yet.
If we are privileged to have you in the audience, would you make an attempt to submit a question? It could just be like a how's your day, or a like how many pieces are part of the City Year uniform, anything, or something deeper that you have been wanting to know. Let's make sure it is functioning correctly, because if not, then we want to make some adjustments on our end. But while we're waiting for those to populate, oh, hello, Lourdes. I see that you're raising your hand. Are you able to click into the Q&A function and submit a question or create a post? I see folks using the raise hand function, but not necessarily the Q&A function. Okay, I'm seeing Amelia shake her head. Okay, I really appreciate that feedback. Let's see then where we might dig into settings.
I can work on that if we have. Do we
Okay.
have another question that we could ask
Sure.
perhaps around relocation? And I'll work on the figuring out the Q&A settings real quick.
Yes, and thanks for your flexibility. And thank you all in the audience for being so flexible as well. I know that a couple of you had mentioned things about commuting and relocating. So just kind of going down the group, can you talk a little bit about getting started? Did you relocate from another place? Rachel obviously mentioned this a little bit already, but speak a little bit more to that. And maybe also talk a little bit about your commuting situation in your city. What is getting to and from school looking like for you? And just to kind of mix things up a little, we'll go ahead and start with Esther.
I grew up here, so I didn't have much of a move, but my commute is not that bad. It's maybe like 10, 15 minutes away from me. Like some other people, they are not just not, I'm not talking about me, but I know other core members in at my site, they have to commute at least 30 minutes out. But like I know some people before they had to do like a 50-minute and they talked to the managers and they were able to get a location that was much closer to them.
And just to clarify, when you say 10 to 15 minutes, is that by your own car or are you commuting some other way to and from your service location?
Yes, yes, sir. It is by my own car.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying. I really appreciate it. How about you, Rachel? You moved approximately 4 hours away. Talk about that experience. Was that your first big move, or is it something you've done before? And then what's your commute like to and from school?
Yeah, it's my first move out of state. I had went to college 2 hours away from home, but that was 2 hours, and it was in Tennessee to begin with. This was my first time being out of state by myself, and living on my own by myself in a different state. So it was just kind of nerve-wracking. One thing I was really glad was my mom helped me look for somewhere to live. We went right after my college graduation, which I graduated at 25, and to just look at apartment buildings and stuff, and like figure out what I would like. And then when it got closer to time, we applied and stuff and got my apartment. And I'm like 20 minutes away, which I wake up earlier because I have a dog, and she goes to doggy daycare. Uh, so, but it's like 20 minutes away, and it's by my own cars, and it's not bad at all.
Thank you for sharing. How about you, Kaylana? What was your experience getting to San Antonio, if you weren't there already, or if you were there already? And then what's your commute like in the city?
So I've been in San Antonio for a very long time, since like high school time. So it's not anything new for me, but for commuting, that's where things get a little bit difficult. The school I work at is on the east side and I live on the north side. So I commute 30 minutes like in the morning, but on the way home, that's like an hour to get back because all the traffic. So everything's a little bit different getting home. I do commute by car. Am I missing something? I don't think I am.
Nope, nailed it. And that makes sense from what I've been working with other incoming members to kind of understand. So I really appreciate you verifying that as the knock for that city. How about you, Alexandria? Tell us a little bit more about what moving around NYC is for you, both I guess kind of as you're coming up in your own borough and then also getting to and from school.
Yeah, definitely. So again, I even though I work in Harlem, I am from Queens, New York. Um, Previous like times when I like commuting to work, I'm am kind of used to like the time that I have to commute to work, just because like to be fair, I'm the one that's far away from like the work places rather than the workplaces being far from me. So I don't necessarily I've gotten used to it. I take a bus and then I do take two trains. And I know that sounds terrible, but like for someone who, when going around like New York City, like getting around is pretty easy with the public transportation. Um there can be times where there's like numerous delays. But yeah, that's sort of how I get to and from work. um just like the same way how like rush hour and like travel, it's definitely a great challenge because sometimes there's like delays. um and so that can like only be like the only challenge. Sometimes the train can end up getting canceled and I have to reroute and take like a extra bus or an extra train. So yeah, that's pretty much how my commute is.
Excellent. And thanks for clarifying too, kind of what that reality looks like. Again, speaking to the difference in New York City, the way that their teams are placed is a little bit separate from how things have to be done in other cities, just because of the size and the way that things are split. So speaking as well to the nature of using public transit, both as a local and as somebody actively in service, that's really, really encouraging from my perspective as somebody who's lived in very car dependent cities. So if you are relocating to one of the cities where we have a public transit partnership, know that it's a way that so many people do get around the city every single day, and it's a very, very welcome resource. Let's see, how about you, Lachey? Talk to us about getting to Dallas and commuting to and from service.
So I'm from Indiana. So I moved 13 hours away from home and to do service in City or Dallas. So I can say that that was a bit of a challenge, especially since like my at the time when I was moving, I didn't know that I had family in Dallas. And then so moving here, I found an apartment locator. I just did like apartmentlocator.com and I had someone do the work here to find me an apartment that I can move into. And even then, that was a bit of a challenge because I'm the type of person I want to see. I want to be able to see the apartments before I move in. So that was a bit of a challenge for me. So when I got here, my apartment wasn't ready or I didn't know know where I really wanted to stay at. So City or Dallas, they housed me for a week in the hotel near the office. And that's where I stayed for a week. And then after that, I was able to move into my apartment. They also pay a relocation bonus like on your first paycheck. So that was really helpful, being that, yeah, the relocation and paying for rent, all the expenses. So that was really helpful. And then the commute from like work to school, I mean, home to school, it's better now, but previously I lived 30 minutes away, and that is a bit of a challenge, especially with the traffic in the morning. We go to work when everyone else is going to work or when the students are getting ready to get on the bus. So, that can be a hassle. And then getting home. So, my commute was 30 minutes. Now it's 15. So, even though it's 15 getting here in the morning, just like, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, but just like Kaylana said, in Texas, at rush hour, it doubles that, sometimes triples that time to get from your school to home. So I would just like be mindful. I know traffic is bad everywhere, but traffic is really bad compared to what I'm used to. And another thing is City or Dallas, they do have a public transit partnership. So a lot of the people, well, a lot of core members, they take public transportation. They use a DART pass to get to and from school, or they take the bus. So I travel by car, but other people also travel by bus or train.
Awesome. And thanks for that insight as well. Let me see. It looks like we're making an accommodation. If you haven't already seen Tiffany's message in the chat, the Q&A function eludes us, stymies us. We're sorry. But please feel free to share your questions in the chat. We really appreciate your flexibility. And Tiffany, I believe this is your portion of the call, but please let me know if you need me to cover anything else.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I see some great questions coming in the chat, so I'll be relaying those to our panelists. The first question that we have is from Catherine, who is wondering if any of you have roommates, and if so, how you found your roommates. I'll give you guys a second to think, and then whoever wants to take that one first, feel free to jump in.
So I can say something because I don't have a roommate, but at the beginning of the onboarding process, um, whoever was like the onboarding person for my location, they had put all of us into a group chat, like a group me, and a lot of people found their roommates there. So like once you do get, get approved, get accepted, and they put you in the group me, that's where you can start having those conversations of like, hey, I'm moving and I'm looking for a roommate. And you can do it that way. Cause a lot of my friends last year, they roomed with other people in the core if they because there were a lot of people who traveled from elsewhere to come to Dallas last year. So I know that that's how the roommate situation worked when I was first year incoming. So that can be something that you ask your onboarding partner about.
Yes, I want to piggyback. Yeah, I currently don't have a roommate, but my onboarding manager, which was Miss Tiffany, she did make a group chat on GroupMe and had like a roommate section and a roommate tab. And I saw some people that might have typed a little bit of something in there, but I didn't. Yeah, I live with myself.
So I also don't have a roommate, but my co-team lead, she relocated from Pennsylvania. Yes. And she moved in with someone who also relocated for city year, and they currently still are both team leaders. One of them's at a different campus, and they both still live together. And they also met through the onboarding.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for sharing your perspectives. We'll move on to the next question just so we can get through as many as we possibly can. And Nicole has a really great question that I think kind of speaks to what you all were saying earlier about the professional development piece of City Year. So I'd love to hear your perspectives on this one. Nicole's question is, did you all notice any personal or professional changes or habits that you didn't have before working at City Year? So basically, how has City Year service changed you as a person or as a professional?
So I'm definitely more of a shy person. I'm more of an introvert. And when I first started working at City Year, that changed pretty quickly. When I was working with my students, I noticed how confident they were, how comfortable they were just being themselves. And seeing that, they definitely helped me loosen up a little bit and just be more like assertive and more willing to say what I need to say to get my point across.
I'm going to piggyback off that one. I'm was very much an introvert when I first moved over here, and my whole life I've been introverted. But when I started senior year and started in the schools, I became really extroverted because I got more involved in the school doing their events with the kids, and then the kids being so happy to have us there, and it just it it makes you it gets you out of your shell.
City Year has helped me professionally was time management. Before I would do a planner, not seriously for real, but juggling school, City Year, and personal life, I've literally tried. I've been working on that and completing all the tasks, responding to emails on time. I've I have really managed my time pretty well with City Year. Yeah, that's one thing I will say.
I would just echo what everyone has said, but also add me being in a team leader position this year. In my previous work experience, I was a store manager. So I handled things differently in that role that I had versus how I would handle it now, just based off of the trainings and all of the things that City Year has brung to light or brung to like my different perspective. Like I show a lot of grace and realizing that, not saying this sound may sound like I was a terrible person before, but I wasn't. Just like having like realizing that there is humanity in everyone and people show up how they feel a lot of the times. And you have to recognize that, when you are working with other people. So no, yeah, I would just say that that's the biggest thing is like having grace for other people and like there's humanity in everyone. So not to be like hard or judging and all those things about people who are not doing things how you would want them to do, but having grace and being able to be an actual leader and, guide them or, coach them in how to do things.
I'd say for me, definitely being that I now manage a team and I'm the one who has to keep them up to date, like whenever there are like, any like important announcements or anything. Over communication, like I feel like, yeah, like personally, sometimes like when you're communicating, like you don't want to overstep, but I feel like with the team, when it comes to a team, you want to make sure that they have um all the information that they need. I'm like highly considerate now. I'm always just like, writing down what I have to tell my team. Very more structured in the team leader role for sure as well.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for sharing all of that. I think it's really powerful for our incoming core members to hear how City Year Service has shaped you as a person. This next question kind of gets at the heart of City Year, obviously the students, right? And Daquan wants to know, would you mind sharing a story about something you've accomplished for your students or with your students, right? Like what was one of your biggest highlights or accomplishments regarding your students? And anything else you want to share about that particular situation?
Can I share? Because I love this question. My students from last year, the school that I served at still holds a big place in my heart. Like those kiddos are so amazing. So a testimonial that I can give is when you join City Year and like you actually get integrated into the school and you get your focus list students, the students that you spend a lot of the time with in small groups, those are the students that you are going to be like more focused on, but there are also students outside of that list that will cling on to you and that will want that extra support as well. And so one student that I worked with, this young man, he he was struggling behaviorally and academically when I met him. He did not want to do any work. If you did not sit next to him, he was not going to do any work. He was just one of those students that needed you to be there on top of him all the time. However, through like some coaching and through pouring into him, me telling him, so sometimes a lot of things, I don't know if everyone else hears this, but a lot of times students always say, oh, I can't do this, or I'm not smart, or I'm stupid, or they speak very down and low on themselves sometimes when they're not understanding a concept. And one thing that I poured into my students last year is I always told them, you are not any of those things. You are smart and you are learning. It's difficult because you are learning. And once you get it down, you are able to do it. So just like pouring into this specific student behaviorally and academically, there was so much growth from the beginning to the end, even though this student was not on my focus list. And even at the end of the school year, his teachers recognized him as the most improved student academically and behaviorally. So it goes to show you that and every day was not a great day. There is going to be ups and downs, students tired, students not wanting to be in school. However, this student, like, just being there, he was able to improve and other people was able to see his improvement. So like that just really is literally in my heart. And what are students saying about y'all? When I tell you that to this day, my students from last year, they are finding me on TikTok, commenting under my TikTok videos. Miss Love, I missed you. Miss Love, text me back. And you're not supposed to engage with the students because one, they're underage, and all those things. They shouldn't even really have social media, but they find me on TikTok, they find me on Instagram, and they still try to reach out and still like hold those relationships. So I will say like the impact that you have as a near peer mentor is an impact that is forever long lasting. We have members on our City Year Dallas site that had City Year members when they were in school, and they joined City Year because of the impact that the Red Jacket had on them when they were in school. So the students, and it's really hard as a team leader for me too, because I don't get to spend time with students every single day. And they are really the heart of everything. And I know that was long winded, but yeah.
I have something kind of similar. So last year I was in an English class. And this was a student outside of my focus list. I did not work with emergent bilingual students, but this student was emergent bilingual. And I could see he was struggling in every single class he had. We didn't have necessarily a lot of teachers who did speak Spanish. And so I just took the time to go sit by him, talk to him, help translate to the best of my ability, y'all. I do not know Spanish. So I was working with what I had. And he just improved so much. Like all it took was someone sitting there telling him he could do it. And now he's no longer in strictly emergent bilingual classes. So he's now in for English, he's just in a regular English class and he's doing great. He still comes by to see me and say hi. I'm a team lead now. So most of my interaction with students is only during lunchtime because I do lunch duty. Other than that, I'm kind of just helping my team go about. But anytime he sees me, he's one of my Velcro kids. So he comes up to me and is just like, Miss, where were you? Miss, I missed you. Things like that.
Yeah, I feel like I have something very similar going on for me at my school. I work with third graders throughout the school day, but after school, I also help with the girls' basketball team at my site. And those girls are my riders, those are my hustlers. I love my girls, and we have a very great bond together.
Oh, quickly, because I completely forgot to answer what are students saying about y'all. From what I hear, they love City Year. They love to see us. I have one student who always tries to steal at my jacket and is like, Miss, I'm a City Year now. And I'm like, well, I need that back. But yes, you can be a City Year.
Right. Thank you all so much for sharing those stories. This next question, and we might not get to all of these questions, but I did want to say we will have the opportunity at the end of the call. We'll share a link for you to be able to schedule time to meet with your onboarding counselor, and we also will follow up with any questions that we did not get to answer at a later time. But this last question that we'll cover is I think one of something that we talked a little bit about at the beginning of the call when we talked about challenges. But I think this person's question speaks directly to what it's like to adjust to life at City Year. So not just, um, throughout the year, what those challenges might be relating to commute and things like that, but how did you actually adjust to the long hours? What were some of the things that you did to help yourself kind of ease into this new world, that you're working in? Um, Anything that you all want to add to that?
Um, I feel like for me, because sleep is very important, I definitely started going to bed more earlier than I usually do, being that I have to wake up at 5 in the morning. Um, yeah, so definitely changing my sleep schedule. Also always having a notebook and a pen with me. I'm heavy on note taking. I just it's easier for me to like write down things rather than just typing it in my notes section on my phone. I feel like once you get into your service year, you'll understand why that is like so important because it's easier for me to like remember. Um, and I would say also just cherishing the moments, the small moments that, I may have, even big or little, with students as well. Like definitely understanding what my purpose is in life, and connecting it to my service year. Um, and then also not things that I can't control, not letting it affect my day-to-day service. I felt like I had to, because I'm like such a person like who really wants to like fix everything, and but I had to come to the conclusion that like, hey, like a student may be struggling in this subject, and if they are like at a 64, but like on Tuesday they go up 2%, you still have to acknowledge them for that 2%. So meeting students where they're at for sure.
I would piggyback off of what Alex said is I definitely changed my sleep schedule. I no longer am a after 10 o'clock sleeper. I have to go to sleep before 10 o'clock. And another thing, which also kind of answers a question, is like limiting the required responsibilities that you have to do outside of city year. So, like another job or another full time job that you have to work 5 days a week, do not recommend. I know Esther was saying how she's in school. I'm also in school, and that's even a challenge to like juggle, my school and my 10-hour workday. So it's just like how I manage doing that is like literally time management. It's like, okay, when I get home from work, I go straight into my studies. Like I don't I cook at home, I eat at home, I eat leftovers. I wait to hang out and do all of the extracurricular things until the weekend, unless I don't have a pressing thing to do that specific day. It's like really you have to City Year will teach you to focus on self, because if you stay home, in the city that you move, you're gonna have your friends or your family that's gonna want you to come and hang out and etc. etc. But if you are tired and you have other responsibilities that are required for life, definitely put those on a priority, on the priority standpoint. And another question that I saw was, do you recommend moving? I recommend moving to get away from those distractions, to focus on self and personal growth. Like, move away, focus on yourself, go to school, do city year. And if you want to go back home, whatever. But, like, if you are doing city year and you want to focus on yourself and you want to get more in tune, definitely move, focus, and lock in, because it's a city year gives you the flexibility a little bit to do that. So, yeah.
Yes. For me, how I prepared was I had a routine before city year, but I had to strengthen my routine and my boundaries. I you have your daily routine, and then you have to make sure that you have time for everything and yourself. And once it's hard telling people no for me, but once I say no, that's a real life. Like I'm still currently working on that now, but I'm really working on just staying clear on your boundaries and your routine.
So I'm not gonna lie, my first year I struggled with this. I struggled a lot with managing the hours, my time outside of work. I wanted to do everything all at once, and that did lead to burnout. So this year, what I did differently was definitely being more saying no and then actually scheduling out my time. So like it sounds crazy, but scheduling my free time made all of the difference. Time where I just could be by myself, watch my shows, put my feet up, relax, really made all the difference to the service year.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for your responses. We are going to end there with the questions for now. But as I mentioned a second ago, we do have this link here. This QR code will take you to a link to schedule time with your onboarding counselor. If you have not done so yet, please do schedule that in the next week or so to ensure that you're able to ask any questions and get some, next steps of how to prepare for service. We also will be going through the chat, and any questions that were not answered, we'll be directing them to your your onboarding counselor so that they can follow up with you as well, so that you'll make sure that you'll get the information that you need quickly. But thank you so much to our panelists and to our audience for being here. We really appreciate your time. And we hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you need anything, feel free to contact your onboarding counselor, as I said, and we will see you next